Before we begin, understand this clearly. Ancient Rome did not always punish people by killing them. Sometimes death was considered too easy. Rome believed there were fates worse than dying. In the summer of 63 BC, a Roman senator stood in the Forum Romanum before thousands of citizens. He was not dressed as a senator anymore. His toga was gone. His shoes were removed. The symbols that once commanded respect had been stripped away. He could not speak. He could not defend himself. He could only stand there while his reputation was dismantled piece by piece. His name, at least in the records, was Marcus Livius. What happened to him was not an exception. It was Roman justice. Rome was an honor-based civilization. A person's worth was not defined by private thoughts or inner character. It was defined by public perception. Who respected you? Who feared you? Who deferred to you? This concept was called dignitas. Without dignitas, a Roman did not truly exist. A senator with honor commanded silence in debate. A man with honor was moved aside in the streets. His word carried weight. His presence demanded recognition. Lose that honor and you were still alive, but socially dead. Roman punishments understood this perfectly. That is why humiliation was not a side effect of justice. It was the point. When Marcus was convicted of corruption, Rome did not execute him. Execution would have ended his story too quickly. Instead, Rome chose something far more devastating. He was brought into the Forum on a busy day. Thousands gathered. This was entertainment as much as justice. Romans believed public punishment strengthened social order by reminding everyone where power truly lived. Marcus was forced to stand as his crimes were read aloud. Each accusation was not just a legal charge, but a public erasure of identity. Then came the stripping. Not just of clothing, but of meaning. Every item removed represented a loss: citizenship, status, masculinity, authority. The crowd watched as a man who once ruled debates and commanded respect became visibly ordinary, vulnerable, exposed. Rome believed that control over one's body symbolized control over one's place in society. To be displayed helplessly before inferiors was to be unmade as a Roman man. The punishment continued, carefully measured, deliberately public. Not enough to kill, enough to break. The crowd counted. They always counted, because numbers made the suffering communal. Everyone participated. Everyone remembered. Marcus survived the punishment physically. That mattered little. What Rome destroyed was something more important. His gravitas. Gravitas was the quality of seriousness, self-control, and authority expected of elite Roman men. A man who lost it could not lead, could not command, could not be respected. And once lost, it could never be recovered. In the days that followed, Marcus tried to continue living. But Rome had already decided his fate. Former allies avoided him. Conversations ended when he approached. His name became a warning rather than a title. He had become a living lesson. Within a week, Marcus ended his own life. Not because of pain, but because in Rome, permanent shame was worse than death. This pattern was not limited to senators. Roman society used humiliation at every level. Free citizens could be punished by being treated like slaves. Slaves could be punished by being reduced to something less than human. Women could be destroyed socially by accusations alone. Honor worked differently for each group, but humiliation worked universally. For Roman men, masculinity was tied to dominance and inviolability. To be publicly controlled, exposed, or made helpless was to lose one's manhood in the eyes of society. For women, honor was tied to modesty and reputation. A damaged reputation could erase a woman's future entirely, regardless of truth. For slaves, humiliation was a tool of control. Rome understood that a broken spirit obeyed more reliably than a bruised body. This was not chaos. It was system. Roman law developed punishments designed to educate the crowd as much as punish the criminal. Every ritual reinforced hierarchy. Every spectacle reminded the audience who ruled and who obeyed. Justice was not hidden behind walls. It was performed. Rome believed fear maintained order better than mercy, and memory maintained it longer than fear. Some Romans questioned this cruelty. Philosophers debated whether humiliation went too far. Historians recorded cases where punishments seemed excessive. But the system endured because it worked. People obeyed because they feared becoming the example. Rome did not simply conquer land with armies. It ruled minds with spectacle. That is the lesson hidden beneath these stories. Honor-based systems do not need constant violence. They need visibility. They need witnesses. They need people to believe that losing dignity is the ultimate loss. And in Rome it was. These punishments were not accidents of a brutal age. They were carefully designed psychological weapons, perfected over centuries. When we imagine ancient Rome, we often picture glory, architecture, law, and empire. But empire is never built on marble alone. It is built on fear, on shame, on the understanding that survival without dignity is a fate many will choose death to escape. This is why Roman humiliation punishments were remembered long after executions were forgotten. Because Rome understood something deeply unsettling. You do not need to kill a person to destroy them. You only need to take away who they are, and make sure everyone sees it happen. Rome did not stop at humiliation in the Forum. For many, punishment continued long after the crowd went home. A disgraced Roman was often exiled, not always by official decree, but by social reality. He could walk the streets, but doors no longer opened. Invitations stopped. Conversations ended the moment he approached. In Rome, silence was a sentence. A man stripped of honor could not testify in court. His word held no weight. Even if he spoke the truth itself became suspicious once spoken by him. This was intentional. Rome understood that power depends on credibility. Remove credibility and you remove influence. A man who could not be believed could not lead, could not accuse, could not defend. This made humiliation permanent. Former senators lived on the edges of the city, watching the world continue without them. They were alive but irrelevant. And for a Roman elite raised to command, irrelevance was unbearable. Some tried to rebuild their reputation. They donated money. They supported public works. They sought favor from powerful patrons. It almost never worked. Once Rome decided you were broken, it remembered. Honor in Rome was cumulative, built over generations, but disgrace could erase it in a single afternoon. And disgrace spread. Sons inherited suspicion. Families carried the stain. One public fall could echo for decades. This is why Roman fathers feared dishonor more than poverty. Because money could return. Honor rarely did. Rome also exported this system beyond the city. In the provinces, humiliation punishments were even harsher. Roman governors used public shaming to remind conquered populations who ruled them. Local leaders were stripped of authority in front of their people. Former kings were paraded as trophies, not always killed, often displayed. Rome wanted subjects to see what resistance led to. This was not random cruelty. It was psychological warfare. A defeated enemy who lived in shame served Rome better than a dead one. He became a warning that breathed. The message was clear. Rome controls not only land, but identity. Even Roman soldiers were not immune. Cowardice, desertion, or failure could lead to public disgrace. Units were punished collectively, rations reduced, honors revoked, entire legions forced to stand in silence while commanders announced their shame. Discipline through humiliation kept armies obedient. By the late Republic, these practices were deeply embedded. They survived emperors, reforms, and revolutions. Even as laws evolved, the belief remained the same. A society held together by fear of shame polices itself. People watch themselves, correct themselves, destroy themselves before the state ever has to. This is Rome's quiet genius and its darkest legacy. Because humiliation does not end when the crowd disperses. It lives on inside the victim, and in the memory of everyone who watched. Rome mastered that truth, and used it to rule an empire.